Everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
By now, everybody's fully aware of the high-rises over in California that have been getting absolutely bombarded by graffiti artists day and night. It's something that we talked about last week here on the channel, and in last week's video, I asked you guys if any of you have been to those buildings. Go ahead and share your stories with me, as well as pictures and videos, and well, one of you guys made a full-blown YouTube video about it, which I want to go ahead and check out with you guys here today. You'll find a link to the full video in the description down below if you want to go ahead and check out the entire thing, because we're only going to watch a portion of it here, but it opens up really interestingly with some footage of an actual news report going over the story, showing floor after floor just completely pieced up by multiple different graffiti artists. This guy's got a whole squadron of people rushing into this building, and he's talking about choppers circling the building as well, which is something that we had seen in one of the reports that we had talked about last week. Not only do they have security guards surrounding the area, but they also have choppers. I don't know how frequent the choppers are. I don't know if they're out there all day, but in this instance, Dark had to go ahead along with whoever he was with and avoid the choppers. Now, from what I understand from watching the video, he actually had a friend of his who was already in the building, and they were kind of guiding them into the building from above. Along with Dark and his friends on the floor, there seems to have been a lot of other graffiti artists that were also trying to get into the building. Now, when you consider the fact that this is multiple buildings with multiple angles of entry, and you have pretty much a horde of graffiti artists trying to get in, it's not really going to be feasible at all in order to block every entrance. And Dark even says during the video that there was anywhere from 60 to 80 people. Now, you figure all those guys are trying to get into one spot, you're really not going to be able to stop that. Because there's one point of the video where Dark and his friends are about to hop a fence, and the millisecond his friend's foot touches the ground, a light flashes on him, and they're caught. But because of how many people are there, they're not able to actually make any arrests or whatever the case is, so they just let them hop back over the fence and, you know, they go on their way. At which point, Dark and his friend go right back to trying to get inside the building. Look at him, he's peeking over the fence too, like just having his head poke out looking at the security guard. And look at that, hops right back over the fence, right across the street, and they're back at it again trying to gain another entrance into the building. Now, taking a break from the video real quick, let me just come out and say, today's video is sponsored by my own store. You don't always have to do graffiti illegally in order to enjoy the art form. We just released a book that teaches you all graffiti's fundamentals. So whether you like to get up outside or whether you like to enjoy the art form, this book is definitely going to help you not only find your style, but evolve your style. And once again, it'll teach you all of graffiti's fundamentals. We go over topics that have never been talked about in this art form. At any point, you can't find most of this information anywhere else online. Not in any blog, video, or any other how to do graffiti book. If you're interested, we got a link to the ebook in the description down below for you. Let's get back to the video. Let's be real, right? Graffiti artists are not nearly as sly as we believe ourselves to be. Like, we are, especially in a context like this, it's obvious who's trying to get into the building and who's not. You see a couple of people walking, you know, by Dark and his friend here, and they don't look like they're trying to get into the building, right? They just look like they're on their way somewhere. And the security guards can 100% tell as well. They know who's trying to get in and who's not, for the most part. We skipped ahead a little bit, but somebody ended up making a new entrance, you know, cutting a hole in order for all these graffiti artists to break in. I didn't count how many guys got in that one spot, but now you have multiple people trying to make their way up the floors in order to, you know, in order to find a spot to paint. And all this while there's once again security guards on their floor, you know, at the bottom and throughout the building, I presume, looking for other graffiti artists. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys just right here alone. And I don't even think all of these people are people that Dark knows. I think some of these are just random other writers that are kind of getting in. Now, we don't really get to see much footage of it, but Dark talks about how one of them needs to be a distraction in order to kind of, you know, let everybody else get by, which would have been interesting to see, but we didn't get to see much of that. Now, after all this work, Dark and his friend make their way up the building in order to finally get a spot, and after all that, Dark ended up having to leave. He says that he had to catch a train, so he had to bounce, but his friend ended up catching a spot, and luckily for Dark, he left when he did because somebody ended up pulling out a gun and shooting at somebody else. Now, Dark says that it might have been two graffiti artists kind of having a bit of an argument. I don't know much about the situation, but regardless, I want to take this opportunity to say that you know, graffiti definitely is by no stretch of the imagination any kind of joke. Regardless, the point being, when you go out there and you decide to put yourself in these scenarios, you're taking a massive risk. And a lot of the people watching these videos may not understand that initially. This is very much a risky thing to be doing, and it's always why I never recommend anybody do graffiti illegally, specifically for stuff like this. And I've always also, you know, kind of bringing this back to graffiti artists versus graffiti artists artists, let's just say that it was two graffiti artists kind of having a bit of an altercation, if you will, I've always been of the belief that you keep your beefs on the wall. If you are so inclined to take things to a physical place, then that just speaks to your incompetence on the wall. Because if you were more competent on the wall, you would handle your business on the wall. Hopefully nobody was hurt during the shooting. Hopefully everybody got home safe. Now, something that's really crazy about this entire thing is you actually have people from other states flying out to California specifically to catch a spot on these buildings. That's how big of an event this is. That's how meaningful of an event this is for graffiti artists and the graffiti community as a whole. Because we all understand as graffiti artists that this is definitely going down in the history books. And that's, once again, all the more reason in order to try and stay safe when you're going to these spots, because you truly have people from all over the place coming here. You don't know what kind of people are going. And it's always best not only to be on guard, but to be aware of your surroundings. The law isn't your only enemy. Other graffiti artists oftentimes are as well. And if you find yourself out there, hitting some spots, always keep safety first. Make sure at the end of the day, you're trying to get home okay, safe and sound. But Dark, man, thank you very much for your footage, and thank you very much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out the full video, I got a link in the description down below for you. And also in the description, we have our ebook. It's a complete comprehensive guide to graffiti. So if you've been lost, if you've been struggling to progress, like your style hasn't improved, or you're a little confused on how certain fundamentals work, check out our brand new ebook. It'll teach you everything you need to know and covers a bunch of information that has never been covered in graffiti before. We have well over 200 pictures that demonstrate each lesson and go ridiculously in depth into how things work in graffiti. And the best part is all that information can be applied to your hand styles, throwies, and pieces. So don't wait to get better. Go down to the description, check out the book, and have all your questions answered. Now, if video content's more so your thing, check out the Best How to Do Graffiti playlist right up here with more graffiti content right down here. And I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.